Empress of Lycania. Previous episodes are available on the playlist. You can also visit our website for your favorite stories. A link is provided in the video description. Episode 5. Abby, I am never drinking again. My head feels like it has been crushed in a vice, and my mouth has never felt so dry. How do people drink every day? This is horrid. I don't understand how Liam and the king managed to be alcoholics. My eyes flutter open, which makes me feel even more like death. Yet instead of being in bed with Tyson, only I find I am laying on top of Ganon. I peer down to find myself before dropping back down on top of him to cover my nudity. I didn't sleep with you. Well, I did sleep, as in the closed eyes kind of sleep in the dream state, he mumbles, rolling on his side. I shriek, becoming trapped between his huge body and the back of the couch. I bet you have a wicked hangover, he chuckles. My head hurts, I tell him. He hums before sitting up slightly and looking over the arm of the couch. He reaches a hand over to the small coffee table, retrieving a bottle of water. Yes. Water. Liquid. I thought, snatching it from him and twisting the cap off. He laughs, sitting up, moving toward the bathroom, and returning with Tylenol. Ganon pops 2 from the packet, handing them to me, and I quickly swallow them before dropping back down on the couch. I intended to live here for the next few hours until this headache went away. Ganon moves to sit back down, and I wiggle over so he has room. He lifts an eyebrow at me as I pat the couch. You are going to let me lay with you? He asks. Wasn't that what we were just doing? I think to myself, a bit late for modesty. I slept naked on top of him, for goodness sake. Ah, yes, I am freezing, and you're like a hot water bottle, I tell him, and he chuckles before grabbing the blanket and laying back down. You could put clothes on, he says, laying back down and tugging me closer. That feels like far too much effort, I groan, snuggling into his side. Wait, where is Clarice? Has Tyson? Ganon mumbles, slipping his arm beneath my head and the pillow as he tucks me closer. I inhale his scent while his fingers draw circles on my lower back as he shuts his eyes, going back to sleep. Yet thanks to this headache, sleep doesn't want me, so I find myself watching him. His scent encases me as I watch his face relax as he tries to go back to sleep, and I lean closer, pressing my lips against his. His eyes flew open at the action, and he jerked his head back. I giggle at the shock on his face, yet I feel different. Truthfully, I haven't felt the same since whatever Azalea had done to me. As if all the fear and weight of my past no longer suffocated me. It is still there, but no longer at the forefront of my mind, and watching Ganon sleep, I realize he truly isn't one of those monsters. Heck, I slept naked next to him and he didn't try to touch me or anything. Just slept. Abby. Ganon murmurs as I sit up on one elbow. Ganon pushes my hair back behind my ear. His brows furrow and his lips part to say something, yet I cut whatever he was about to say off as I lean down, pressing my lips against his. He groans, and his lips part at the demand of my tongue as it slips inside his mouth. His arm around my waist pulls me closer while the other slips into my hair as I deepen the kiss. My tongue tangles with his, but he lets me have control when I feel him smile against my lips. Are you feeling all right? he mumbles against my lips, attacking his. I nod my lips, not leaving his, as I lift my leg over his waist to straddle him when he grips my knee and pulls away. Abby, he whispers. What? I ask, smiling as I peck his lips, but he shakes his head. We should stop, he groans, moving his lower half away and making my legs slip off his waist. Isn't this what you want? I ask him, confused. Is that what you want? He asks in return, and I nod, moving closer when his hand grips my hip, and he clears his throat, stopping me from crawling on top of him. Abby, stop. I don't want to scare you, he says, his voice coming out more of a growled warning. I swallow at the noise as he moves onto his back. Ganon? I ask, confused by his actions. He always says I refuse to touch him, so I do, and now he doesn't want my touch. I move to crawl on top of him, only for him to move quicker and grip my leg before I place it over him. Abby, he says in the same warning tone, his grip on my thigh tightening as he held it off him. Ganon, I am fine, I tell him, and he sighs but lets my leg go, shutting his eyes, and I drape my leg over his waist to find he has an erection. I gasp at the feel of it touching my naked leg and swallow. See, that's why Abby. You are making me aroused, he says, and I chew my lip, looking down at him only to find him watching me, waiting for me to flip out at him. I won't hurt you, he whispers, cupping my cheek in his hand. I lean into his touch, loving the warmth of his skin and the scent of his wrist by my nose. Abby, I didn't mean. Will you stop? Do I look out? I just want to touch you, I tell him before grabbing his hand and placing it back where it was on my ass. You want to touch me? He asks, and I nod. Well, I am trying to, but he's making that a bit difficult. You know you don't have to, he whispers. I want to be able to touch you, Ganon, I tell him, and he sighs and lets me explore his body. I have countless times, yet never did my hands wander the way they are right now as my fingers map out every part of his exposed chest and his abs. My hand moves lower toward the waistband of his pants when he wraps his arm around my waist and sits up, making me shriek, not expecting it. He sits there for a second as if gauging my reaction to his action as I straddle him. His erection pressing against my lower region makes me look down when he grabs my chin, forcing my gaze to meet his. I would never hurt you, he whispers, brushing his thumb over my lips. We can stop. Do you want to stop? I shake my head, and my hands move over his chest to his shoulders. Then say it, I want to know you understand, Abby, I want to know it is what you want, he whispers as his fingers trail down the side of my neck to where his mark lay. I shiver as his fingers graze over it. You won't hurt me, I whisper. Never, he says, tugging me closer before pressing his lips against mine softly. My arms wrap around his neck, and I push closer, so my chest is flush against his as I kiss him harder when he stands, gripping my leg and wrapping it around his waist while not breaking our kiss. His fingers tangle in my hair as he moves toward the bed before stopping beside it before he sits on the edge of it. Is this all right? He asks around my lips, sucking on his. I nod in answer, not caring where he puts us as long he doesn't stop kissing me. The longer he does, the less I think about it. My body takes over, consumed by him. I tug him closer when he suddenly rolls and makes me gasp when I find myself on my back with him pressed against me. He holds all his weight on his arms and peers down at me, his eyes move to my chest and back up. "Am I allowed to touch you?" he asks, and I wiggle beneath him, feeling my face heat as I nod. I want him to touch me and feel his hands on my body. He smiles, leaning down and brushing his lips against mine. His tongue sweeps into my mouth as he kisses me deeply. His pelvis brushes against me and I find I don't shy away, not even when I feel his hardness press against me. Ganon presses closer and a moan escapes my lips when he presses himself against me, touching some nerve that makes my hips buck and my eyes widen. I gasp, pulling away from him. "You like that?" Ganon asks, watching me as he rolls his hips against me again, making something tighten inside me. I nod my head, shutting my eyes. "That's what it should feel like, Abby, pleasure not pain," he whispers, and I open my eyes to look at him. "So can I touch you? You can tell me to stop," he murmurs, leaning closer, a smile on his lips as they brush mine. I nod, he kisses me, plunging his tongue into my mouth and tasting every inch of it before his lips move to my neck and over my collarbone. Tingles rush over my skin where he touches. I feel the mark on my neck warm, and tingle as his lips move lower, making it harden impossibly more as he teases it with his tongue. His lips move to the other when he moves lower, his lips and tongue running down my ribs to my hips, making me squirm when I feel his arms move under my bent legs, making me sit up. He kissed my knee, his eyes watching me as his lips trailed and sucked down my leg, when I realized he was about to put his mouth down there. "Ganon!" I hiss when I feel his warm breath sweep over me, and I groan as he blows his hot breath over me. "Do you want me to stop?" he murmurs, laying on his belly. I chew my lip, unsure about having his face down there. "I won't hurt you, love. You can watch, say stop, and I will." He ran his nose up the inside of my leg, making me shudder. "And it won't hurt?" I ask him. He shakes his head before trailing his tongue down the inside of my thigh. My legs close almost entirely on his head when I feel his tongue sweep across the apex of my legs. His hands grip my thighs before I can crush his head. "No pain, just pleasure, Abby," he whispers, looking between my legs while I think when I open my legs for him. I watch him, and he watches me back as he lowers his head before his mouth is on me. I fall back on the bed while he kisses more. I can't stop the intense feeling building or the cries spilling from my lips as his tongue swirled and sucked my flesh. When the feeling grows, becoming too much, I grip his hair. "Stop!" I shriek, feeling on the verge of combusting, like I'm going to wet myself or something. Ganon stops immediately. "You don't like it?" he asks as I try to catch my breath. I shake my head. "No, it was just getting too intense," I breathe. Ganon laughs, making me lift my head to look down at him. "It's supposed to feel like that, love," he says. "Am I supposed to feel like wetting myself? Is he crazy? Let me, I'll show you." I shake my head. He has gone mad. Does he want me to pee on him? "Abby, I can assure you whatever you are feeling or are currently too embarrassed to say is normal. It should feel like that, he tells me. And it gets better, he tells me, making my eyebrows pinch. Do you trust me? He asks, and I nod. I do trust him. I trust him with my life. Then you know I wouldn't do anything to upset you. I nod, staring down at him as he lowers his face between my legs again, giving me the chance to pull away. Still, when I don't, his mouth covers me again, and the feeling builds quickly, making me want to pull away as it climbs higher, making my muscles tense and quiver. I pull away, and his hands grip my thighs. Relax, love, he mumbles against me when he starts purring. Only this time, his purr sounds different. It isn't so much a sound but more of a feeling as it wakes some primal part of me I didn't know existed. Forcing calm over me, and as soon as it does, my body turns to putty in his hands, making me realize it had to be the calling thing Azalea had told me about. Ganon's mouth doesn't let up when I reach some peak before an intense crescendo. My entire body tenses at the feeling before I crash and fall blindly into bliss. My entire body spasms, my toes curl as it rocks through me in waves, and my inner walls flutter and pulsate, making me cry out as he slows, letting me ride out the intense pleasure that leaves my entire body exhausted and tingly. When the feeling starts dissipating, I find myself breathless as Ganon crawls up my body before kissing me, his tongue delving between my lips. I can taste myself on his tongue, making me groan into his mouth. I wrap my legs around his waist, yet they feel so heavy they crash back onto the bed. Ganon chuckles, pecking my lips before looking down at me as I yawn, suddenly feeling sleepy. Ganon kisses my cheek and moves to hop off me when I grip his shoulders. Rest, we can do more later, he tells me, but I shake my head. That doesn't seem fair, and I know he's aroused. I can feel but I'm fine, Abby, he whispers, moving away when I wrap my arms around his neck. But I want to, I tell him before yawning again. Go to sleep, he laughs, but I refuse to let go, wanting to give him something. He sighs, settling his weight back against me. What do you want to do then? He asks, though it was clear he wasn't going to have sex with me when my eyes fell to his neck. Before I can even suggest it, my canines slip free, protruding extremely fast, as an overwhelming desire to mark him washes over me. The next second they are in his neck, and he grunts. My eyes widen in shock as I feel them slip into his neck and through the muscle. I didn't even ask. I almost choke as his blood floods into my mouth, coating my tongue. Panic courses through me as his hand tangles in my hair. "SHH, you can mark me," he whispers, and I seem to forget that he can feel me through his mark on my neck. I relax when I swallow his blood, and it is like every nerve ending bursts in my body when the bond is forged. My entire body tingles, and my skin buzzes when overwhelming happiness floods me, bringing tears to my eyes when I realize it isn't mine, but his. Kaisen Azalea falls asleep pretty quickly, yet as the sun rises, I know I have to get out of bed, so I decide to check in with patrols, and with Damien, who is meeting me at my office. We are supposed to be heading to the Landina Kingdom today. Yet not hearing back from Larkin is starting to bother me. He was supposed to let us know by this morning. We haven't heard a word from him since he left here that night. Something is going on. Damien tells me as I hang up the phone from trying to call Larkin for the third time this morning. It is suspicious. I don't know who to trust, but one thing is certain, the council can't be trusted. And neither can anything we thought we knew about the Landina massacre. Nothing makes sense anymore. I think you need to hold off on going to the Landina kingdom, my king. It isn't safe. And I have a bad feeling about all of this, Damien tells me, and the worry is clearly etched on his face. Azalea won't like it, but I think you are right, I tell him, and he sighs in relief just as Ganon steps into my office. How is Abby? I ask, earning a smirk from him. He sits down, and I press my lips in a line, trying not to smile when I notice she has finally marked him. He clears his throat awkwardly. Good, yep. Everything is good, he chuckles, and it is good seeing him happy for once about something. I know he has struggled badly with Abby and her PTSD. Azalea, he asks, changing the subject. Damien and I were just discussing whether we should postpone the trip to Landina, I answer. No word from Larkin, he asks, and Damien and I both shake our heads. Nothing, I answer, and Ganon sighs. Do you want me to send Liam and Dustin to Cyprus searching for him? Ganon asks, but I shake my head and scratch my chin while I think about what the best approach will be. Not yet. We will give him today, if no answer by tonight, and he is still unreachable. We raid the council, I tell them. They nod, and Damien gets up from his seat before pausing. What is it? I ask. I know he wants to ask me something, I can read him like a book, and he has been nervous all morning. Tandy wants I wave my hand, cutting him off, already knowing what he is about to ask. All the children who were adopted had their pictures taken. All documentation is in the cellars. She can have access to them. I will let the guards know, I tell him, and he nods. Do you really think Paige is one of the children? Ganon asks us both. Larkin could be lying, but I highly doubt that. He genuinely appeared disgusted with Tandy's claims and also truly believed Brock didn't kill his own child. I hope so, if not. Damien pauses, looking at me. If she isn't, permission granted, you don't have to ask. Not when it comes to children, I tell him, and Damien nods. I know if he can't find Tandy's daughter, the next place he will be going is to drag the information out of Brock by any means possible. I watch them leave, and I smirk as Ganon leaves, seeing how happy he is. At least that will be one less thing playing on Azalea's mind. Abby is a constant worry for Azalea since her attempt to kill herself. I know it has heightened her concern to magnitude levels. Azalea would not cope with losing her a second time. As he goes to walk out the door, I call Ganon back to me. Ah, Ganon, a moment please. He stops, looking back at me. Close the door, I need to speak with you, I tell him, and he sighs, looking out to the hall before shutting the door. He retakes his seat across from me, and I sit back, watching my friend. SIA? I ask. Liam told you? Ganon asks, and I shake my head. No, Dustin did. He nods, knowing Liam must have spoken to Dustin. Dustin told me about Liam's involvement but said nothing about you. I want to hear it from you, I tell him, and he runs his fingers through his hair. Sia was Abby's aunt, and Sia was my mate, he breathes out. And Liam helped you cover up her death. You did not need to keep that from me, or Damien. I figured something went down, I tell him, pointing to his chest. We've all seen his scars, we all know what causes that sort of damage. We also knew something bad happened for him to want to end it. We didn't want to pry, and I trusted Liam to come to me if he was worried about Ganon. I knew he would tell us one day the story behind them. And her body? I ask. Outside her old pack along with her mother's, Ganon tells me. The mother came after me when she learned I killed her daughter. I nod in understanding. How did Abby take this news? Not well at first, but she understands why I did it, he explains. Is that all? I ask him. There is more, but I can't tell you, my king. I won't risk Abby. I swallow, knowing it must be bad if he is worried about telling me. If I look into Sia's background, what will I find, Ganon? Are you asking because you already know, my king? He asks in return. I'm asking as a friend. I am asking for my queen. Your queen. If there is anything I need to know, this is your chance to tell me, I tell him. Ganon looks away, and that is an answer in itself for me. Abby's parents weren't involved, he says. Abby won't be punished for her family's mistake, Ganon. You have my word, but the fact you never told me you found your mate in the first place has me worried. The fact you didn't tell me says either you knew I wouldn't approve or suspected something was amiss. I want your word, my king. Abby stays out of it. Any punishment you see fit for her family's crimes, I will take on her behalf. Your queen would have my balls if I tried. Rest assured, Ganon. I have learned from my mistakes, I won't punish her like I did Azalea. We may be products of our parents, but we aren't them, I see that now, I tell him. Ganon seems to think for a second. Sia worked for the Hunter organization, so did her mother. Liam and I found out she was one of the Hunter's suppliers. I purse my lips at the new information. I'm a bit peeved he never told me, but a lot less peeved as she's no longer a threat. Suppliers? I ask him. Yes, her mother was selling wolfsbane to the Hunters organization. She was growing it. I ask, but he shakes his head. We found no evidence she was growing, but she definitely obtained it from somewhere. You won't keep anything like this from me again. I understand why you did. But we could have figured it out together. Sia was trying to weasel her way into the kingdom. She was very insistent that I change her. I wanted to wait. When I refused her, she went to Liam and tried to have him kill me. She wanted access to my kingdom. It appeared so. All she talked about was coming here and me changing her. It set off alarm bells, yet I never figured out her intention. She never told Liam anything that was suspicious, either. It makes me wonder how she got involved with the Hunters in the first place. Then, when I thought we figured it out, and she was willing to accept me, I walked into an ambush. Luckily, Liam knew me better than her. Brotherhood 1, he tells me. It explains why he and Liam are joined at the hip usually. I nod in understanding, thankful it also did. You can go, maybe see if Abby and Azalea want to help Tandy. It will keep them distracted while we try to figure out this Larkin issue, I tell him. Ganon nods, getting up from his seat and walking out, leaving me with much to think about. This puzzle is getting larger and the pieces more complicated to place. Azalea. Later that afternoon we're sitting on the cellar floor, sifting through documents and photographs of the orphanage children. Tandy hands them off to Abby after she's done examining each one, and Abby restacks them back into the boxes. Yet, the deeper we delve into everything, the more disheartened Tandy becomes. How old would Paige be now? I ask. 7 in February, she replies with a sigh. Well, that rules these kids out, Abby comments, passing me a pile full of toddler photos. We might have to do a DNA test. She could look different from how you remember. Abby suggests. I will recognize her, Tandy asserts confidently. How can you be so sure? I question. I'm her mother, and she has a scar. It runs down one side of her face, from her chin to her hairline. She fell off the stairs when she was 3 and landed on a glass table, she explains. Brock beat me good for that one. I wasn't even watching her at that time, she was with the sitter because I had to work since he provided nothing. He broke 3 of my ribs that night and I had to borrow money for her cough medicine of crux, she says, her mind taking her back to some god-awful memory that makes her shudder before she returns to us with a shake of her head. I'll grab the next box, she states. My stomach churns as I hear this while she continues to sift through the photos. Well, I'll start with this pile then, I tell her. Tandy talks about such tragic circumstances so casually, it's as if she's become desensitized to her own trauma. It saddens me how much suffering she's endured since our days at the orphanage when she was still Taylor. This place gives me the creeps, Abby admits, rubbing her arms as she sets the box back on the shelf. I glance over my shoulder at her and nod. We spend hours in the cellars combing through every child's information until Tandy tosses the last document into the box. None of them are Paige. Just as Damien walks in to check on us, Tandy gets up and starts walking towards the stairs, looking defeated. Hun? He asks as she heads for the stairs. He reaches for her, but she pulls her arm away before he can grab her and dashes up the stairs. Damien turns to look at Abby and me, confusion in his eyes. None of them were Paige, I tell him, heart aching for Tandy. Damien swallows hard, staring after Tandy as she disappears upstairs. Go, Damien, take the afternoon off. I'll speak to Kyson and let him know, I reassure him. Thank you, Azalea, he says gratefully, then rushes off after Tandy. Abby and I pack everything up before climbing the stairs and emerging from the pantry. As we do so, Tanner is standing in the kitchen looking rather lost, clutching his wide-brimmed hat in his hands. Tanner, what can I help you with? Clarice asks, entering the kitchen from the foyer. I was going to see if you could ask the king or queen for a few moments of their time, Tanner says, addressing Clarice while looking at me. Clarice growls something which surprises me since I've never heard her growl at anyone in anger before. I told you yesterday this wasn't your issue. Leave it be, she snaps at him. It's fine, Clarice. What is wrong, Tanner? I ask. My queen, I will sort it out and speak with Kyson. You don't need to handle this one, Clarice insists, trying to usher me out of the kitchen along with Abby. It's your brother, my queen, Tanner blurts out, causing us all to freeze in shock. You dare mention him to her after what he has done? Clarice snarls, turning on her heel and pointing an accusing finger at Tanner, who looks defeated but defends Peter anyway. He's just a boy, Clarice. How can you say that when you've helped raise him with me? You know how useless his grandparents are with him and Esther, well. He shakes his head. I'm sorry, my queen. I just worry about him. I swallow and nod. Tanner turns to leave. Clarice watches him go, and I can see his words upset her deeply. Wait, Tanner. What of my brother? I ask him, and he stops. My queen, you don't have to deal with this, the king can, Clarice says, but I shake my head. Kyson has enough going on, and he is my brother. His grandparents kicked him out, and he, Tanner tries to explain. He what, Tanner? I have been sneaking him into the stables at night, Tanner says, while dropping his head in defeat. You've been what? Clarice screams at him. Tanner flinches at her anger. I hold up my hand. Where is he now? I ask. Hiding down by the river until it gets dark so he can cross the river without being seen, my queen. I know what he did was wrong, but he is just a boy. He has no one else and nowhere to go. He has Esther, I tell him, but he shakes his head. Esther, that woman is trash. She doesn't talk about him. The moment you kicked them out of here, she left when no one was watching. He has been on his own since, Tanner tells me, and I swallow. Wait, when did Esther leave? Tanner pauses to think for a second, counting on his fingers. The night Elder Larkin left. Peter came to find me. Esther was fired from the fruit market she worked at, and he asked for food. I asked him why he couldn't go home. His grandparents tossed him out, and his mother once again abandoned the boy, he tells me. I sigh, looking at Abby, who nervously chews her nails as she listens. Looking back at Tanner, he stands nervously waiting for me to say something. Take me to my brother, I tell him, and he nods. Clarice is coming and I sigh. I need to get the king. I am not making any decisions without him, I tell him. Thank you, my queen. I can bring him to you, I can bring him here if you like while you get the king, he says. I'll make him something to eat, Clarice says, grabbing the bread, and I nod to her. Okay, I will go find my king, I tell Tanner before turning on my heel to go searching for Kyson. We have come too far now just to start hiding things from each other again. Looping my arm through Abby's, I tug her toward the door, and we head toward his office. As soon as we step out of the kitchens and move up the corridor, Trey and Dustin come out of the staff lunchroom and trail us. They had left us to sift through the paperwork, knowing the guards in the cellar would watch us, and it felt good giving them some time off. They must get rather bored following me all day, not that they ever say anything. Walking into the room, I hear Kyson's phone ringing, and we enter silently. Crux. Kyson states, answering the phone and placing it on loudspeaker, so I can hear. Kyson pushes his chair out and pats his knee, wanting me to come sit on his lap. I walk over to him, and he pulls me onto his lap, wrapping his arm around my waist and pressing his lips to my shoulder. "My king, I was wondering if you have seen Elder Larkin." I hear Crux's voice. I look at Kaisen, who motions for me to remain quiet. "Why?" Kaisen asks him. I can tell that Kaisen finds his call rather suspicious. "Well, he has been missing for several days, that is why. He is unreachable, and I checked his car coordinates, and it says he is in your kingdom, my king, so one would assume you had seen him considering he has been there for a week," Crux answers. "Now that makes no sense at all. I want this tracking information you have," Kaisen tells him. "Of course, I can email it through. Is everything alright in your kingdom?" "I have been hearing some startling rumors," Crux asks. "Rumors like what?" Kaisen asks. "That your men stormed through one of my businesses for one, that one of my workers was kidnapped by one of your guards and 8 of my security personnel were killed. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you?" "I'll look into it, but someone wiped my security footage, which I find rather odd. Then Larkin was tracked there, so I figured it was to speak with you." "Well, Crux, I would be less worried about my kingdom and more worried about yours. Rumors are circulating, and I'm beginning to notice something." "What is that, my king?" Crux asks in a tone that almost sounds mocking. "Everything leads back to the council," Kaisen says. "Doesn't it always? I will send you the tracking data. When you find Larkin, ask him to call me, please," Crux tells Kaisen. "Will do," Kaisen replies, hanging up on him and glaring at his phone screen. Kaisen, I gently tap Azalea's leg to climb off me, my mind racing, and I need to speak to Ganon, Liam, and Damien. Something is amiss. But as I attempt to rise from my seat, Azalea's hand grabs mine, her nervousness palpable. I pause, feeling the weight of her anxiety pressing against me through the bond. Why is she nervous? "It's all right, love, we'll figure it out," I assure her softly, attempting to move past her. Yet, once again, she clings to my hand, her grip tightening, then moves in front of me, blocking me from passing her. "Azzy, love," I say, locking eyes with her. "Peter is waiting for us in the kitchen," she blurts out the words before I can comprehend their meaning. Peter is back on the castle grounds? At first, I believed her nervousness and worry were over Crux, not over her brother. The mention of her brother's name sends a surge of anger through me. How dare he return to the castle grounds? And more importantly, how did he manage to bypass my guard? "I'll handle it," I tell her. But she presses her hands to my chest, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear but also pleading, as I move toward the door. "No, I want to help him," she pleads, causing me to halt. I grip the door handle tightly, conflicted between my own anger and Azalea's need to help everyone, even those who don't deserve her help. "No, Azalea, I won't allow that," I assert firmly, my voice laced with frustration. "Hasn't he taken enough from us?" I had reluctantly accepted her decision to spare his life before, but that is as far as my tolerance extends. I have no desire to aid him in any way. I don't even think I can stand to see his face again without wanting to kill him. Esther abandoned him again. His grandparents kicked him out. He has been staying by the stables and the river, Azalea explains. The answer is no, Azalea. He is not supposed to set foot on the castle grounds again. He is just a boy, Kaisen, she defends him, her voice tinged with a hint of desperation. And some would say you're just a girl, Azalea. You are not much older than him. He knows right from wrong. He knew what he was doing, I argue, struggling to understand how she fails to see the gravity of his actions. After all, she is the one who was stabbed by him. Can we just hear him out, please? She implores. My mate's forgiving nature is both a blessing and a curse. It seems that because Peter is her blood, she feels compelled to give him a second chance. But sometimes, second chances can lead to a never-ending cycle of disappointment and heartache. I refuse to let him jeopardize our happiness once more. You are not obligated to help or love him, Azalea. Not after what he did, I remind her. I know that, Kaisen. Peter isn't bad. He made a mistake, she insists, her voice quivering with emotion that I recognize instantly as guilt through the bond. A mistake? It was more than a mistake, love. That so-called mistake cost our daughter's life, I reply, my words coming out in a furious growl. Azalea flinches at the mention of our loss, her pain clearly etched across her face. We all make mistakes, Kaisen. He will live with his mistakes for the rest of his life. I just don't want my brother to be one of mine. I don't want that guilt hanging over me. I need to know I tried, she whispers, her voice filled with anguish. No, Azzy. This is not about guilt or obligation. It's about your safety and our future together, I argue, desperately hoping she will see reason. But deep down, I know that her need to help him stems from a fundamental part of her being. It is a trait inherited from her mother, one that I both admire and fear. She knows I am right. But I also know she won't be able to handle the guilt if something happened to him if she didn't help, Azure's handing that down. I learned so much reading those few passages of Cedric's book. Azures were magnificent for their ability to forgive and move on, for their elemental gifts, and for being empathetic. It makes me wonder if that was part of why Tatiana put up with Garrett. Unfortunately, she also inherited a few of her father's traits. I have observed that firsthand and been on the receiving end of her temper. His temper, his command, and his bite. We were yet to see all of Azalea's moon-blessed gifts, and I think the possibilities are infinite when it comes to Azalea. Because one thing I realized with startling clarity and why the moon goddess blessed both bloodlines with opposing gifts, they were to balance the other out. They were never supposed to come together, for it would throw off the balance of power. Opposites attract. One was benevolent and the other malevolent, but once together, they detonated. Together, they were unstoppable and an impossible force to reckon with, and I suddenly understood Garrett Landina's purpose of marrying Tatiana. It was to gain what he was lacking, another power trip. Yet, such qualities together would make it near impossible to live with. The Landina ego would always overrule any guilt he felt. You know I am right, yet you want to help him anyway, love. You hope to find some redeeming quality, but what if there isn't one? I ask, my voice tinged with concern. She averts her gaze, her silence speaking volumes. She knows deep down that I am right, but the need to help her brother outweighs all logic. That need to know is strong within her, so I know I am on the losing end of this argument. That Landina's stubbornness will be the death of me. I need to know. I can't abandon him like everyone else has, she finally admits. But are you doing this for him or for yourself, Azzy? What do you hope to achieve? I question gently, attempting to understand the driving force behind her decision. Both. Kaisen, I want peace. I won't find peace by turning my back on him. I need to know that I did everything in my power to save him, she confesses, her words heavy with the weight of her emotions. It becomes clear to me that this is about more than just Peter, it is about Azalea's own inner turmoil and her quest for redemption. But from what? Hearing her words, witnessing the guilt and anger that fuel them, I realize the depth of her struggle. Living with such intense passion and conflicting emotions must be exhausting for her. She needs this resolution, even if it comes at a cost. She needs to know that she did everything she could to save her brother. I kneel before her with a sigh, wishing she could see the potential danger of getting too close to the boy who nearly destroyed us. I fear that her unwavering love and determination may be what gets her killed. This is your last chance, Azzy. Promise me that this will be the end of it. If he hurts you, promise me that you will not give him any more of your time. Promise me that you will let me deal with him, I beg. But he's a Landina, she whispers, her voice filled with uncertainty. However, she must understand that his bloodline will no longer protect him from my wrath if he brings harm to her again. But you are not. You may have been born into that family, but you are now Valkyrie, mine as I am yours. I refuse to watch him destroy you again. I won't allow him to dismantle what we have built. And I certainly won't stand by and watch you destroy yourself over him. So promise me, this is the last time. If Peter does anything wrong, you will let me handle it, I declare firmly. Azalea swallows hard and lets out a resigned breath. Last time, she whispers, and I sigh in relief. We'll deal with Peter first, then I need to speak with the guards, including your own. We must be prepared for anything, I say, my tone resolute. Crux mentioned sending you the coordinates to Larkin, she interjects. Yes, he did. But something tells me he may try to buy time or come up with an excuse not to send them right away. We must remain vigilant, I explain. Azalea, after we had settled the situation with Peter, Kaisen leaves me in the company of Abby, Liam, and Trey. Together, we make our way back to Abby's room, where we intend to check on Ganon and retrieve Tyson from him. Ganon needs to meet up with the King and Damien to strategize their next move regarding Crux and Larkin. As Kaisen had predicted, Crux still hasn't provided us with the tracking information we need. It appears that we will have to find another way to obtain it. But the more I think about it, the more convinced I become that Crux is deliberately taunting us and stalling. He knows he is cornered and is now plotting against us harder than ever, buying himself time. I can't fully comprehend how Peter fits into this intricate web, but a nagging feeling tells me I am onto something. Everything seems connected in some way. I can't believe Kaisen let Peter stay, Abby remarks, voicing her confusion. Not without conditions. A guard will be with him at all times until we figure out what to do, I reply with a sigh. It is a better arrangement than having him sleep in the stables unsupervised. I just don't understand why Esther abandoned him again. And where could she have gone? Abby murmurs, her perplexity mirroring my own. Kyson is equally baffled by Esther's actions. She had fought to save Peter's life, only to abandon him at the first opportunity. It makes no sense. It's as if she saw him as nothing more than a pawn, someone to be saved for her own benefit. She doesn't deserve to be called a mother, Abby states firmly, causing me to pause in my tracks. Her words strike a chord within me, and I furrow my brow as I try to make sense of it all. Trey halts just in time to avoid colliding with me and steadies me by gripping my arm. "You're right," I mutter, lost in my thoughts. "I know. What mother does that to her son?" Abby continues. I don't even realize I'm still stopped in place, trapped in my own thoughts. Liam halts as well, placing a hand on Abby's shoulder to bring her to a stop. They both stare at me, waiting for an explanation. The gears in my mind churn as I consider the possibility that Esther is connected to both kingdoms and somehow the council. She goes missing the same day Larkin does. That can't be a coincidence. Azalea. Trey murmurs. I look between them as they stare at me, the cogs in my head turning. Esther had access to both kingdoms. And both kingdoms were attacked by hunters. She had a reason to resent my father when he rejected her while she was pregnant with his son. And Marissa had been present in both kingdoms during the attacks. Though I know Marissa is not responsible, it raises questions about what Esther stood to gain by killing Claire and letting Marissa hide me away while she hid Peter from the world. What is it? Liam asks. It's Esther, I murmur, attempting to piece together the puzzle. But why would she have a motive to kill Claire? That is the one aspect that eludes me. What could she possibly gain from it, and why did Marissa flee afterward? In the hazy memories from my dream, my mother specifically instructed Marissa to take me to my mate. So she must have known that Kyson was my mate even before we did. My mother believed I would be safe with him. But then why didn't Marissa hand me over to Kyson? And why did she run away from the kingdom after Claire's death? What about Esther? Trey presses for more information. Just as Abby said, Peter is a pawn to her. It's the only explanation that fits. It would explain how she could abandon him after fighting for his life. Blaming my father for rejecting her is her motive. And she had connections to both kingdoms when the attacks occurred, I explain, connecting the dots in my mind. Liam draws closer, exchanging a glance with Trey as they ponder the implications of my words. It was Esther who allowed the hunters to infiltrate Landina. She had to have let a hunter in to kill Claire, Trey suggests after a moment of reflection, but his brows furrow at the last part because the bit about Claire doesn't make sense still. However, I interject, finding flaws in his theory. But she wasn't present when Larkin came here. She wouldn't have known about any of it, I point out, finding holes in Trey's reasoning. Peter did say Esther went missing the night Larkin left here, Liam says, looking at Trey. Peter! Trey exclaims suddenly, but I shake my head. Think about it, Azalea. Who else could it be? Trey insists. Peter seemed genuine, I counter, but Trey scoffs dismissively. There is one way to find out for sure. Command him to answer, question him, and extract the truth, Liam proposes. But that would hurt him, I protest. Sometimes, Azalea, commanding is a necessary evil. Remember what Kyson told you earlier when he agreed to let Peter stay. Trey reminds me. He said I had to see past my own desire to see the good in someone, I recall with a heavy sigh. I know they are right. It is the only way to know for sure. But the thought of causing him pain, even after he has hurt me, is difficult to accept. Still, I know Kyson will manipulate my aura if I ask him to, and he will do it for me. Okay, but first I need to retrieve Tyson. The king wants to see Ganon, Abby says. We are going with him to see the king. I promised Kyson I won't go near Peter without him. I am not breaking that promise and giving him reason to kill Peter before we get answers, I tell her. Abby nods, rushing off to find her mate and Tyson. Liam observes her departure before turning to me with a knowing expression, a knowing of what I am unsure of, but the way he watches her is odd. I don't know what's going on between you and Abby, but mark my words, I'm watching you, Liam. Ganon has entrusted you with keeping an eye on her when he can't be with her. But your presence lingers on her like a foul smell. I know you're up to something, I warn him. I would love to argue about the foul smell comment. I exude a divine scent, one of blood and sultry sin. Just ask Dustin, he'll happily confirm it. But you're right, my queen. You're very perceptive, I am up to something, though I promise my queen you have no reason to be concerned, he teases. I shake my head, and Trey offers me his arm, which I gratefully accept. I lean against him, using him as a support. Fatigue weighs heavily on me, and I desperately need rest. Apparently not observant enough. Look at the mess we are in, I tell him. Good thing you have a guard and friends willing to help you clean it up, Liam laughs, sauntering off after Abby. Can we make a quick stop at my room? I want to retrieve the books Cedric gave me, I ask, looking up at Trey. Of course, Trey replies, studying me with concern. What's on your mind? You seem troubled. Nothing. I'm just trying to figure out how Claire fits into all of this. She's the one piece that doesn't make any sense. Esther seeking revenge on my father, no matter how petty, still provides a motive. But killing a pregnant woman? I question aloud. Like mother, like son, Trey murmurs, his words hanging in the air. We'll figure it out. Though I'm not sure Esther is clever enough to pull off such an act. But you're right, there are too many coincidences surrounding her. And her sudden disappearance only makes her appear more guilty. Either she has unbelievably bad timing and constantly finds herself in the wrong place at the wrong time, or there's something we're missing entirely. Trey analyzes the situation with a thoughtful expression. And if she is guilty, it means someone was aiding her. She managed to navigate through 2 kingdoms without arousing suspicion. How is that even possible? I ponder, feeling more confused by the second. The same way, it's possible that none of us knew she had a child or, in my case, that she kept the child. Secrets have a way of coming to light, even the best kept ones. Nothing remains hidden forever. You're living proof of that. And if someone is assisting Esther, my bet is on the Council and Crux, Trey surmises. Wait, didn't Tandy mention that Crux had a mistress? I recall. No, Crux wouldn't associate with someone like her, especially not if his uncle had been involved, Trey counters with a shake of his head. Unless they both had motive, I muse, piecing together another possibility. But what motive would Crux have? What would he gain from killing his own uncle? Kyson, we gather around my desk, surrounded by piles of scattered documents as Damien, Cedric, and I attempt to unravel the intricate puzzle before us. The weight of the task is heavy upon us when an email notification from Crux interrupts my concentration, coinciding with the arrival of dinner time. Crux sent me the tracking info, I tell everyone as I pull it up from the link in the email. We'll wait for Gannon, I add, knowing he is on his way here. Anticipation fills the air as we wait for Gannon. He is waiting for Abby to relieve him of Tyson's care so that he can join us. Unfortunately, Tyson's fussiness has prevented him from being handed over to Clarice earlier, leaving him confined to his room until Abby's return. Damien immediately leans in to peer over my shoulder as I access the maps and coordinates. Confusion knits my brows together, and Damien exhales deeply, placing his hands behind his head as he paces back and forth. What does it say? Cedric inquires, his focus divided between writing a timeline detailing our knowledge of the Council, the Hunter attacks, and the kingdoms. It says he is still within the kingdom limits. According to this, he never left, Damien reveals, his voice laced with disbelief. So we have a traitor within the kingdom. I growl, frustration tainting my tone. Or Larkin is a traitor, Cedric suggests. However, Damien vehemently shakes his head. No, I don't trust the man, but Azalea commanded him. You know this. There's no way he could have been lying. There's no way he would abandon his son, I add firmly, my conviction unwavering after seeing him trudge in here and demand his son knowing he was risking his life by doing so. But what if Crux forged this information? Cedric proposes, scratching his chin as he approaches my laptop. In that case, where is Larkin? I breathe out wearily, feeling a throbbing headache begin to take hold. All I desire is to retreat to my room with Azalea and forget the chaotic world outside. According to this, he's down by the old mill, just inside the surrounding forest, Cedric relays, pointing to a specific location on the map. I can send some men to scout the area, Cedric offers, but I shake my head in response. No, it's late, and that part of the woods is too dense. We can wait until tomorrow. If it's an attack, I'd rather have daylight to assess the situation, I declare, aware of the sudden opening of a mind link. Azalea's bond tugs at me, and a smile graces my face as I open the connection. Where are you? Are you still in your office? She asks through our link. Yes, but we were just about to head to the old ballroom. It has more space, and we need assistance going through old case files. So the Landina guards and our own guards are coming to help us sift through everything, I inform her. All right, I have Abby and Gannon with me. Dustin is fetching Peter and bringing him up. Trey and Liam went down to the archives to retrieve staff documentation. Staff documentation? And why are you bringing Peter up? Curiosity laces my words as I questioned her, sensing her nervousness reverberating through our bond. Yes, Peter. I think I know who is aiding Crux, she reveals, her conviction palpable. And how did you come across this information? I probe further. Something that Abby mentioned, about Peter being manipulated. I believe it is Esther, Kyson. Too many pieces don't fit together, and I want to question him while also examining Esther's files. Pondering her words for a moment, I glance at Cedric. I'll send some men down to assist in bringing everything up, I assure her, rising from my seat. Gesturing towards the scattered boxes, I signal to the others, and they promptly begin packing everything away. I'm on my way. The kitchen staff can deliver dinner to the ballroom, I inform her before severing the connection. Contemplating her words, I find reassurance in her unwavering certainty. I will not doubt her anymore. Take a photo of that board, I instruct Damien and Cedric, pointing towards a storage room adjacent to the ballroom. There's a large whiteboard in there. It'll be better than cramming everyone into my office. Besides, there are toys and things for the kids to occupy themselves with. With our documents safely packed away, we make our way to the ballroom. A sense of déjà vu washes over me. Countless times we have combed through these very same documents, explored the archives, and examined crime scene photographs. Yet, we have never found anything substantial, leaving me concerned that once again, precious time is slipping away. As we enter the ballroom, I catch a glimpse through the grand double doors of Dustin positioned at the far corner with Peter, who appears petrified and out of place. Azalea has kept her promise though and refrained from entering, standing by the doors waiting for my arrival. Drawing closer, I reach out for her, pulling her into an embrace and inhaling her sweet, intoxicating scent. It calms me and restrains my desire to harm her brother. Inside, Abby and Clarice are setting up 2 long tables and arranging food while Cedric's trusted Landina guards assist in bringing up the files. Moments later, Liam and Trey enter with 3 enormous boxes each, stacking them on the second table. Observing the room and witnessing its rapid transformation, I feel as if we are preparing for war. In a sense, we are, considering the intensity with which everyone delves into the paperwork. Cedric projects the photo onto the massive whiteboard, capturing the attention of all present. What is he doing? Azalea inquires, her curiosity piqued. He's creating a timeline. And that is an old map with all the locations hunters have hit over the years. The only things we know for certain are that it involves the kingdoms and the missing rogue children, with the council somehow intertwined, I explain. However, it becomes clear why our previous efforts had yielded no connections. There simply aren't any. What about Larkin? She probes, to which I shake my head. Crux sent the coordinates. Cedric will investigate tomorrow when it's light out, I tell her, hoping that our answers will finally reveal themselves in the coming hours. Later that night, as Azalea continues to exert her command over Peter, a sense of exhaustion washes over her. He has passed out for the 3rd time, leaving her feeling drained and disheartened. Abby left an hour ago, unable to bear witness to the ordeal any longer, joining Tandy. The weight of guilt weighs heavily on Azalea, and she has thrown up twice at the mere thought of inflicting harm on her own brother. Trey stands off to the side, his expression blank, while Cedric taps Peter's face in an attempt to rouse him. Everyone else has departed, leaving only our personal guards, Cedric and 2 Landina guards, by my side. Gannon gazes at the board in front of him, his curiosity evident as he and Liam meticulously go over every detail. Clarice returns after putting her boys to bed, glancing briefly at Peter before diverting her gaze, unable to watch. "Please, Kyson, no more," Azalea's voice quivers with a hint of desperation. "He knows nothing. You're just torturing him." I let out a weary sigh, realizing that she is right. Peter mumbles unintelligibly, drooling onto himself. Despite our efforts, we have been unable to extract any additional information from him. Azalea's command had made him eager to answer every question except one. We have concluded that he indeed panicked when he killed our daughter. It was never his intention to kill her. However, it perplexes me how he can confess to poisoning Azalea with wolfsbane but claims to have no recollection of where he obtained it. Something isn't adding up. We have been at it for hours, trying to force the answer out of him, but it remains unanswered. How can he admit to giving it to her but not know where he got it? Cedric growls in frustration, tapping his face. "Leave him be. He truly doesn't know," I sigh, shaking my head in resignation. "But he gave it to her." Cedric's anger flares, directed at Peter as he starts to cry. What if he was commanded to forget? Trey's suggestion, made earlier, begins to resonate with me. Azalea squirms on my lap, her concern for him echoing through our connection. I have to remind myself that Peter poses no threat, especially when he is weakened to the point where he can barely lift his head, and Azalea is surrounded by my guard and her own, yet I hate the feelings through the bond he causes her. "Go," I whisper to Azalea, giving her permission to approach him. She jumps off my lap, rushing towards him. Trey and Cedric quickly step in her way. They don't want their queen near him. "Stand down. Back up," she snarls, her command leaving no room for disobedience. Trey reluctantly backs off, followed by Cedric. I rise to my feet and make my way towards them as Azalea drops her knees and cradles Peter's head in her hands. "I don't know, Azalea. I don't know, I wish I did." Peter pleads. I know. But we had to be sure," she whispers soothingly to him. He nods weakly in response. Azalea glances over her shoulder towards the table. "Get him some water and a damp cloth," she instructs Cedric with a snap of her fingers. He swiftly complies, bringing her a bottle of water. I grasp Peter's head gently, lifting it up. Azalea's heart beats frantically in her chest as she reaches out to grip my wrist, searching my eyes, worried I am going to snap his neck. I tilt Peter's head back, and she exhales in relief as she realizes I have no intention of harming him. Uncapping the bottle, she guides it to his lips, helping him drink. Cedric approaches with a wet cloth, which she uses to wipe away the sweat that has accumulated on his face after enduring hours under her command. "Dustin, can you help him to a room?" Azalea asks, her gaze fixed on me. I can tell she is not seeking permission. I press my lips together in a tight line. "I will stay with him tonight," Dustin assures both Azalea and me, leaving no doubt that he will not leave Peter's side wherever he is placed. "He can stay with Liam and me," Dustin suggests. Fear flashes in Peter's eyes at the mention of Liam's name as he glances towards where Liam stands alongside Gannon. I have no intention of arguing. Dustin is a man who sleeps with one eye open, Liam's paranoia and insomnia doesn't let him sleep. So if Peter so much as attempts anything, he will wake up to a knife at his throat before he can even sit up. That's fine, but use my old quarters. Tandy and Abby are in yours. I don't want him near their families. Dustin nods, then pauses, his eyes darting to Liam as he addresses me. Ah, my king, but Dustin doesn't finish, his eyes locked on Liam behind me. It's fine, Dustin, Liam tells him. Unless you're uncomfortable. Liam says, making my brows crease in confusion. Dustin used to be one of Claire's guards, but Dustin hasn't had an issue working as my guard in my old quarters, well, not that he has expressed anything about being uncomfortable. It's different from guarding, than it is sleeping in her old room, Liam, Dustin says, grasping Peter's arm and helping him to his feet. I'll be up when I can, Liam says. Unless you need any assistance. Liam asks Dustin, concern etched on his face. Dustin nods in response. One of the Lycania guards will wait with him until you're ready, Liam, Cedric informs him. Liam nods, turning back to the board. Cedric motions for one of the Lycania guards to accompany Peter, who grabs his other arm. Azalea, stay here, I instruct her firmly, despite her growls of protest. We have established conditions and rules regarding Peter's presence, and I will not break them, but she can't either. Returning my attention to the board, we attempt to piece together a timeline, searching for connections or clues. So much remains missing, and the involvement of Crux, my sister, and Esther continues to confuse me. Azalea firmly believes that everything is intertwined, convinced that Esther is Crux's mistress. Leaning against the table, I study the board before me. Azalea joins me, her eyes scanning the information. I can practically feel her mind working, a mixture of tension, confusion, and determination pulsating through her. Okay, she begins, her voice filled with determination. I know everyone says that Esther and Crux are not involved with each other, and you're searching for the Council's connection. I gaze down at her, waiting for her theory to unfold. But maybe we shouldn't focus on the Council's timeline just yet. Let's place Esther's timeline on the board instead, she suggests. I let out a weary sigh, willing to entertain any idea at this point. Gannon and Trey move towards the table, gathering documents and starting to piece together a timeline based on the limited information we have. As they work, the significant dates begin to take shape. 2004 Azalea was born. 2007 December Esther becomes pregnant. 2008 February Lycania Kingdom falls. Azalea goes missing. Marissa Talbot disappears. 2009 Esther returns to the Valkyrie Kingdom and starts working as a castle servant. 2013 Valkyrie Kingdom is attacked. Claire is killed. 2014 Marissa Talbot is murdered. Azalea and Abby are placed in an orphanage. 2022 Azalea Lycania is found and returned to the Valkyrie Kingdom. I study the timeline, hoping for some revelation or connection to the Council. However, nothing jumps out at us. Azalea clicks her tongue in frustration. See? Nothing, Gannon remarks. Azalea furrows her brow, deep in thought. So where was Esther during that year after my family was killed? She directs her question towards Trey. And where did you go after the kingdom fell? She asks him, still peering intently at him. With the Landina guard, searching for you, Trey responds. Add it to the board. Let's see if anything aligns after my parents' kingdom fell, Azalea requests, her brows furrowing as she ponders the possibilities. What's the point of all this? I question, worried we're just going in circles at this point. I'm trying to understand how no one recognized Marissa or Esther. These two women were present in both kingdoms when they fell, Azalea sighs. The task of mapping out every person's timeline would be daunting and endless, but if we can find connections in specific individuals, it may lead us closer to the truth. Azalea, we are missing something. I can feel it, and it is right on the tip of my tongue. One thing that will tie everything together, yet there is also how the council is involved and why Crux would go against his own uncle, my father. I watch as Trey adds his details to the board, trying to find anything that can link Esther to the rogue murders or the council. Azalea was born. Esther falls pregnant with Peter. Landina Kingdom falls. Azalea is missing. Marissa is missing. Trey spent 3 months in Valkyrie Hospital for silver poisoning. Trey was released from hospital in May and went looking for Marissa and Azalea. Esther moves back to Valkyrie Kingdom, starts working as a castle servant. Trey returned to Valkyrie Kingdom and started working at the mill. Trey failed the guard trials. February Landina anniversary. Valkyrie Kingdom attacked. Claire was killed. Marissa on the run. Marissa Talbot is killed. Azalea and Abby are placed in the orphanage. Trey rejoined guard trials and passed, became Royal Guard. Azalea Landina found and returned to the Valkyrie Kingdom. I sigh. So Trey wasn't within the castle grounds while Marissa was. I chew my lip when Clarice speaks up. You worked at the mill? You must have known my husband, she says, smiling sadly. Who was your husband? Trey asks her. Emmanuel Lounges, she answers. Ah, yes, I worked alongside him. Nice man, I didn't realize he was your mate, though. I hadn't changed him yet. He died just before we lost Claire, she whispers, bowing her head to the king, who smiles sadly at her. Not marking him is probably the only thing that spared me death after him, Clarice adds sadly. Wait, Emmanuel Lounges. Gannon asks, and we all look at him. Yes, you met Emmanuel once in town with me, Clarice tells him, and he nods. Yes, but I didn't know his last name was Lounges. Gannon exclaims. What's that got to do with anything? I ask, curious as to why, out of everything, that is the one thing he picks up on. He died the night of the Ravenna Pack attack. Gannon asks Clarice. That's correct. The 2012 attacks, when the hunters hit 9 packs that month. He said he had family left in the pack and went to help. Kyson found him and brought him back home to me. He didn't even make it to them, Clarice says before swallowing as she glances at Kyson. Ravenna Pack attack? I ask, confused. Small pack that is not far from here. There are over 80 small packs in this state, Kyson tells me, and I nod. I knew it was big, I just hadn't realized how big. Ah, now I remember where I heard that name from. Abby mentioned her aunt, Sia. That must have been who he was going back for. Emmanuel told me he had 2 daughters in Ravenna Pack that were estranged, Trey says. Excuse me? Clarice asks, and everyone turns their heads to look at her. The look on her face is horrific as she stares at Trey like he just punched her. SIA lounges. Ganon asks abruptly. Yet, I can't take my eyes from Clarice, who looks like she is on the verge of tears. She shakes her head. Wait, enough! I yell, cutting everyone off as they reminisce on the past. One that is becoming more and more confusing. Clarice. I ask her. No. My Emmanuel didn't have children. He would have told me. He was going back for his siblings, Clarice says. Clarice. I whisper hesitantly, biting my lip. She shakes her head, averting my gaze. I think it is time I go to bed, she says, bowing her head and quickly leaving. Crap! I didn't mean to upset her, Trey curses, watching her go. It's not your fault, Trey. But now I have a strange feeling that this is bigger than any of us realize, Ganon murmurs, looking back at Liam, who is watching her leave. What do you mean? I ask him. SIA lounges and Vivian lounges, were Abby's auntie and grandmother. They lived in the Ravenna Pack, after being forced out of their first pack. Emmanuel was too late, by that time SIA and Vivian were already dead, he just didn't know it, he was going back for 2 dead women, Ganon tells us. But what's that got to do with any of this though? I ask, still confused. Because I met Viviana lounges, through my father. However, Crux was one of the men that introduced my father to Vivian's mother when I was a child. I later met Vivian as a woman when she was pregnant with the twins, SIA and Lena. When I met SIA as an adult, it was at a pub her mother Vivian owned. I didn't talk to Vivian for years. After the Landina attack Liam glances at Kyson who looks away. I went a while without speaking with her. I used to stay at Vivian's pub whenever I passed through. She is also who I went to after Landina fell, Liam explains. Why would you go to Abby's grandmother? Because she was a witch. And I needed a location spell to locate you. She also ran an apothecary shop inside her house, Liam explains. And SIA lounges had ties to the hunters, we learned after I killed her, Ganon explains. Kyson growls, and Ganon hangs his head before turning back to the whiteboard. I'll go check on Clarice, Damien murmurs, rushing out after her. Kyson wanders over to me and wraps his arms around me before looking at Ganon. You and Liam add to the timeline everything you know about SIA, he tells them before pressing his lips on my hair. And you and I are going to bed. I have to be up in the morning to look for Larkin. And it is past midnight. You need to get some sleep, Kyson says, leading me out of the ballroom. However, I am wide awake and too nervous to sleep, but he is right. I have been standing for hours, and it is starting to take a toll on me. Plus, my feet are killing me. We head toward the stairs, but I stop when I hear crying coming from the kitchen and Damien's hushed voice trying to calm down Clarice. I feel terrible. I thought she knew he had kids, Trey murmurs, following us up the steps. It's not your fault, Kyson tells him, and Trey swallows. We climb the stairs, and I am about halfway up when a sickeningly sweet smell wafts to me before I hear someone groan. I sniff the air, recognizing the scent to belong to Abby. Abby! I call out, grabbing the banister and rushing up the steps. Abby stands clutching her stomach and leaning against the wall, shaking. Sweat is coating her skin and her face is all flushed. I need a doctor. Something is wrong, she whimpers. Running over, I grip her arms. She leans into me, and I look toward the corridor from near her quarters, a terrified feeling settling into my gut. Why didn't you mind Link? Kaisen asks. Abby's brows crease, and she shakes her head. I forgot I can, she groans, clutching my arms when Kaisen growls, grabbing her and sweeping her legs out from under her. He turns and looks at Trey, who starts rushing up ahead to open doors from where Abby came from, when I feel the mind link open up. Ganon, get to your quarters immediately. Kaisen says through the link. Are Abby and Tyson all right? Ganon asks. Azalea and I will take Tyson for the night. Just get to your room. Kaisen snaps at him. I'm on my way. What is going on? Ganon panics. Kaisen growls, and I can tell he is mouth-breathing. Looking at Trey, so is he, and my eyes widen, and I gasp as it hits me, just as Kaisen says it. Can't you feel her, Ganon? Abby is in heat, he says, pushing his way into Ganon's room. Tyson is asleep on the bed, and Trey quickly grabs him, rushing out of the room while Kaisen lays her on the bed. Hang on, Abby. Ganon is on his way, I whisper, brushing her hair back. It hurts, she sobs, curling into a ball. Ganon can make it go away, I assure her just as the door bursts open. The moment he steps into the room, it is like someone slapped him. His pupils dilate, and he growls. I back up as he shakes his head, realizing it is me and not another male. He watches as I creep along the wall as he remains frozen on the spot, unable to move. It's Azzy, Ganon, Abby whines, and his head whips toward her. He blinks, moving toward the bed, and I rush past him and bolt out the door, slamming it shut behind me. Azalea Kaisen wakes early to Tyson trying to climb out of bed, which in turn wakes me. Rubbing my eyes, I hear arguing outside the door between Dustin and someone else. The door is slightly ajar, and as I sit up, Tyson runs toward it, but Kaisen scoops him up before he reaches it. Where are you off to, little man? Kaisen asks, bringing him back to me. I grab Tyson, wondering about Abby and whether her heat has subsided. Yet, as the voices grow louder, my curiosity peaks. Lim, Tyson tuts, grasping at the air and pointing to the door. I need to go shower, Kaisen says, pecking my lips just as Liam's voice reaches my ears. I realize it's Dustin and Liam arguing. Lim, Tyson toots, squirming to get out of my arms before he goes limp on me and slides out of my arms. His little feet pound toward the door, and I groan, racing to stop him, not wanting to interrupt their obviously heated argument. Yet, Tyson shoves through the door. I quickly grab my robe, pull it on, and move closer to the door. Just go. You're supposed to be watching Peter, Dustin snarls at Liam as I approach the door. Liam is standing by the door, and Tyson rushes toward him. Liam scoops him up as if it is second nature to take the boy. He props him on his hip while Tyson smacks his chest, screeching. Lim, Lim. See, this is exactly what I mean, Liam. What happens when you want kids? I can't give you that, I am a man, not a woman, Dustin snaps, pointing at Tyson. Liam looks at Tyson in his arms. What do kids have to do with anything? You always have some excuse, Dustin. Language, Liam. The squid doesn't know what I am saying. It's been 3 years, Dustin, and you still turn me down. Because you're not gay. I am gay, Liam. You're not. Dustin yells at him. He pauses, then sighs, pinching the bridge of his nose. You mark me, then what? Later on down the track, you want kids and leave me for a woman. I don't do vagina, Liam, I don't swing that way, and I won't handle seeing you with another woman. It is better to keep things the way they are, Dustin tells him. I don't want to be with anyone else, only you. How many times do I gotta tell you that? You say that now. I see you with Tyson, Oliver, and all the other kids. You will want kids, Dustin tells him. Liam snarls, looking down at Tyson. Do I look like father material to you? I would trap some kids up raising one. I don't want kids, even if I eventually did. We got what? He looks at me. A handful of kids downstairs that need adopting. Take your pick. Then what excuse have you got? I don't want kids, I only want you, Dustin. We can figure out the rest later. You're Liam, not gay. You will want another. What has my gender got to do with anything? I can be considered me, too. I trap myself, I beat Mrs. Palmer a few times a week, too. I really give my left hand a workout when you're in a bad mood, but that doesn't mean I want to continue it, have a left arm like Popeye. Liam snaps at him. Again, Liam language. Dustin growls, and Liam shakes his head, wandering over to hand me Tyson. I take him, and Dustin sighs. I'm sorry Azalea, he is just leaving, Dustin tells me, and I see Trey still as a statue by the window. Ah, who is watching Peter? Don't worry about him. Tied him really good to the bed. He isn't going anywhere, Liam tells me. I shake my head and look at Trey, who groans. I guess I will go get him then. Trey says when I raise an eyebrow at him. Handcuff keys on the dresser. You'll need a knife to cut the ropes off, I knotted them perfectly. Trey nods when Liam clears his throat. Wait, you'll need these too, Liam says, digging in his pocket. He tosses 2 keys to Trey. The little one will release the ball gag, and the skinny one is for the choker. I told you he wasn't going anywhere. Dusty Poo likes a little bondage, Liam says, winking at me before turning back to Dustin while Trey holds the keys up, looking horrified at him. Dustin's face turns bright red. I just blink, not really needing that information. Go, I have work to do. We can argue later. As he doesn't want to hear this, Dustin says, waving him off. You're causing a scene. I am not causing a scene. You are. 3 years, Dustin, I have been asking you to let me mark you, 3 years, and you still turn me down, Liam snaps before walking off and following Trey. Dustin turns to face me. Sorry, he mumbles. Trouble in paradise, Dustin, Kyson says, coming behind me, trying to put his cufflinks on. That was quick, I tell him. Larkin, remember, I am leaving the guard here with you and going with Cedric. Wait, you're going by yourself? I ask him. No, Cedric will be with me. Maybe take Damien and Gannon with you. Kyson shakes his head. I am not leaving you here defenseless. I should only be gone a couple of hours at max. I'll be fine. And Gannon is still locked down with Abby's heat, he tells me, kissing my forehead and wandering off. I'll be back soon, he calls over his shoulder, and I sigh, looking down at Tyson. Let's go see Clarice and get you out of your jammies, I tell him when Dustin moves toward the window. He grabs a backpack. Liam came and got his clothes all ready. That's why he came down. I forgot the bag, Dustin says, holding it out to me. I take it, and he follows me into the room. What's the deal with you and Liam anyway? He wants to be exclusive. You aren't already? I ask him. Not from his lack of trying, Dustin tells me. Then what's the issue? He seemed pretty upset. I know he will leave me eventually. It is better this way. You mean because he also likes women? I ask, remembering Tandy. Yes and no, he mainly does that to piss me off. I told him I don't care who it's with, I know he will leave me for a woman eventually, Dustin says, sounding defeated. I don't think he would, not if you let him mark you. You sound like Gannon. He said the same thing the other week, Dustin groans. You don't believe Gannon? No, I just don't want him to resent me later because he has marked me. And I won't allow him to fool around with women once he does. Which wouldn't work if he decided he wanted kids. I can't give him that, so he shrugs as I pull Tyson's top off. Can always adopt, as Liam said. Dustin shakes his head, passing me Tyson's tank top, when we hear a knock on the door. Dustin goes to answer it. He opens the door, and I realize it is Tandy. Clarice and I are taking the kids out to play on the hill after breakfast if you want to come, she says, with Hunter in her arms. Yep, I will be down in a minute. Where is everyone eating? I ask her. Ballroom, we are taking a few orphanage kids out with us while the weather is nice. A storm is meant to hit this afternoon, and they will end up stuck inside if it sticks around, she tells me. I nod. Okay, I will be right there. I just gotta get changed, I tell her. She nods, turning and walking away with Hunter. I finish dressing Tyson, and Dustin watches him for me while I quickly change and mind-link Kyson. Can Peter come to the hill with the kids? Trey and Dustin will be with us. I ask him. Yet, after last night, we have all determined that Peter is no longer a threat to me. It was sad, really. Everything he did was for his mother, only for her to abandon him again. He seriously believed if the king got rid of me, she would be allowed back into the castle where he could see her. Yes, but stay with our guard, I love you, he tells me. I love you too, I tell him, cutting the link off. We make our way downstairs. A handful of children, Clarissa's boys, Hunter and Tandy, are already here when Trey brings in Peter. He sits at the table with his face down. Yet, after about 20 minutes, he is animatedly playing with a few orphanage kids while I wander over to the whiteboard to look at the added parts Liam and Gannon put up about SIA and Vivian. Liam comes over and leans on the table next to me as I stare at it. Liam helps me read the newest parts since I can't recognize the wording. So, did you find out why SIA was kicked out of the Vermilion Pack? I ask Liam, who nods. Yes, last night I rang the Alpha of Vermilion, who pulled the records from back then, Liam tells me, wandering over to the table. He picks them up, but Dustin takes them from him before he can show me. What does it say? I ask him. They were kicked from the pack for Vivian's works in witchcraft and the illegal dealings with Wolfsbane. Illegal dealings? I ask. Yes, though, we never found out who her supplier was. After digging around last night with the King's resources, we are pretty sure she was the one supplying the hunters with Wolfsbane, Liam tells me. One thing I want to ask. When did you meet Abby? Gannon told me she has memories of her grandmother in Ravenna Pack. But you don't remember meeting Vivian despite Abby saying you were there, Liam asks, grabbing one of the markers and moving toward the board. I was about 5 years old. All I remember is that Abby's family was being chased by rogue bandits. They were attacked, Marissa and Jordan helped them, and after that, they stayed with us. Why? Abby said she met with her grandmother a few times when she was a child. Liam shrugs but adds it to the board. I nod, turning back to the drawing board, and Liam walks me through what everything says again. Azalea was born. 3 years later, Esther falls pregnant with Peter. Landina Kingdom falls. Azalea is missing. Marissa is missing. Trey spent 3 months in Valkyrie Hospital for silver poisoning. Trey was released from the hospital in May and searched for Marissa and Azalea. Esther returns to the Valkyrie Kingdom and starts working as a castle servant. Started in the stables. Trey returned to the Valkyrie Kingdom and started working at the mill. Trey failed the guard trials. March Esther moves into the castle as Claire's personal servant. May Marissa starts out in the stables at the castle. Trey failed the guard trials. January Marissa starts working as a castle servant. Gannon meets SIA, and she rejects him. SIA moves to Ravenna Pack after being kicked out of Vermilion Pack. February Landina anniversary. The Valkyrie Kingdom attacked. Claire was killed. Marissa is on the run. May Kyson created the pack oath for the Royal Guard. SIA is killed almost a year after Claire's death. Marissa Talbot was killed. Azalea and Abby are placed in the orphanage. Also, the year after Claire's murder, Gannon investigated rogue murders with Liam, and Vivian followed him and tried to kill him out of vengeance for SIA. Liam buried her body near the river near the bridge. Trey rejoined guard trials and passed, becoming a royal guard. Azalea Landina is found and returned to the Valkyrie Kingdom. I stare at the board, trying to piece it together before looking at Liam. Crux, is that how you met Vivian? I ask him, and he nods. Yes, with my father as a kid. But I never spoke to her again until years later. I needed a location spell done, he tells me. So Crux knew SIA. I ask again. Yes, Crux had worked with Vivian in the past, not long before Claire was killed. As far as I know, that is when I found out about her working with Crux. It could have been longer for all I know, Liam tells me. And there is your link. I just don't understand why Crux would work with Esther and how it is connected with the council besides Crux, I tell him, and he seems to think for a second. Did Esther know SIA? I ask, and Liam shrugs. No idea. But Esther knew Crux. Everyone knows Crux. He has been on the council for centuries, Liam states, and I sigh. Yeah, that was a dumb question. It still didn't explain about the rogue murders or Claire. Clarice claps her hands loudly, drawing all the kids' attention. Come on, we can play outside until lunch, but then we need to lock everything down. A storm is brewing, kiddos, so sun while you can, Clarice tells them, and I smile, moving toward Tyson, who is sitting next to Tandy. I grab him, and we take the kids to the hill by the cemetery and stables. The kids instantly take off, yet Tyson wanders around, following Tandy and me. Liam takes off to play with the kids as they all roll down the hill, racing. Where is Damien? I ask. She pushes some hair behind her ear before looking at me. Looking into Alpha Brock, he is trying to see what he can find out about Paige for me, she says, and I press my lips in a line when Tyson tugs on my shirt, trying to get my attention. Do, he toots, pointing toward the stable. Yep, duck, I tell him, and he waves to it, still holding my shirt, which is fisted in his hand while he keeps squawking, do, gosh, he is stupid, Dustin laughs, pointing at Liam covered in grass, rolling down the hill, and knocking the kids over, who squeal, trying to jump over him as he rolls toward them. Dustin, a voice calls out, making us look toward the castle. He wanders off to speak with Trey, and we turn our attention to the kids playing when Hunter starts fussing. I am going to go put him down to nap while Damien is still up there. I will be back, she says. Yet as time passes, the sky begins darkening with the approaching storm, and Kyson still hasn't returned. Do, Tyson yells, and I look down at him just as the wind picks up. Come on kids, inside. This storm is coming over faster than we thought, Clarice calls out, and I move to help pick up the toys scattered along the ground with Tandy. Tyson refuses to go with Clarice or Dustin, yet he is in his jacket and beanie, so nice and warm. I let him follow as we pick up the junk the kids dragged out. Dustin, Liam, run these in, I tell them, pointing to the huge plastic tubs. Tandy and I filled with balls and skipping ropes. I'll grab the last one, Tandy tells me, rushing to the top of the hill while Clarice leads the last of the children inside with Peter. Liam and Dustin carried the tubs and while Trey was helping tug the clothes off the line with the servant. Come on, Tyson, I tell him, holding my hand out to him. Only when I look down do I not see him. Tyson! I call, turning and looking for him. Tyson! I yell out, and I look at Tandy. He was just here. I tell her. Tandy looks around from the top of the hill, looking around frantically, just as the wind starts howling loudly. Tyson! I scream when Trey runs over. What's going on? He asks, jogging over. I can't find Tyson. I say, panic bubbling in my throat. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.